Alright guys, back at it again with another team builder. In this series, we go over what if Ketchum was the regional champion of a region. This time, he'll be from Vanderbilt Town, born and raised, where traveling across Kalos was where he spends most of his days. I'm not one to stall, so let's go ahead and get straight to the rules. If you know how this series works, then go ahead and jump to the timestamp. Firstly, this is an alternate canon, which gives me the excuse to alter anything that happened in the main canon of the anime. Secondly, we're limiting the amount of starters to just one. Normally, I'd have to pick amongst Ash's multiple starters, but that's not a problem this time. However, it's likely that Greninja is not a guaranteed member, so look out. Thirdly, we'll ignore any character restrictions, which mainly ties to evolution and that everyone will be fully evolved. But Ash's Kalos mines are already fully evolved, so it's no issue. This team really makes things easy. Final thing is that there are 3 topics we go over here. The Pokemon's own unique personality, their battle capability, whether or not they suck, and their battle characteristics being how they fight. But we are finished with the rules, so without stalling any longer, let's get started.
Pokemon, get to the
Starting off with a familiar face, we have Noivern. If we were to talk about his most memorable trait, it'd be his personality. While very few, Noivern was one of Ash's Pokemon who have originated from an egg. Because he lived life way shorter than the rest, he was basically the baby brother of the team. This definitely added some dynamic for other Pokemon Ash had, especially Lucha. Unfortunately, this baby brother nature affected his battle capability. Unlike every other member, Noivern was trained in a later portion of the series, making him the most underleveled in a way. I'll admit that this is definitely more justifiable than those that just suck for no reason. And lastly is his characteristics in battle, and obviously enough, half of his moves match his typing, but the ones I'm more interested in are both Supersonic and Boom Burst. I really liked how the anime utilized his bat-like design, but with all of those traits, Noivern suffices as a good member for this team. As for the second pick, we have GoGo. For those that's new, giving Ash Pokemon he hasn't caught is the primary perk regarding this alternate canon. And to create a personality, let's reference to Alexa's. It can be rather asocial and hardened, but have some sort of sweet side. Like every Pokemon Ash has though, he has to share some trait of him, so he can't be a total meanie. Outside of being generous, GoGo can be more bright when pumped for battle. And speaking of battle, let's get onto its capability, for which it can be pretty good. GoGo can have a Snorlax situation where it's not really an ace or finish overall matches, but still pull out KOs before it goes down. Lastly would be its battle characteristics, and there's not much to mention. The most common for grass types would be Vine Whip, and because it's a goat, Hornleech would be befitting. But with all of that, GoGo will be a good inclusion for this team. For the third member, we have Helios. Now, the main reasoning is that I believe electric types are integral to Ash's character, and even though Pikachu is non-existent in this alternate canon scenario, I didn't think it'd be right to exclude some of that electric essence. To start with how it battles, there's of course going to be the standard Thunderbolt. I'd also want to add in Dragon Tail because while it could learn Iron Tail, I feel like the effects of Dragon Tail adds a bit more trickiness to Ash's team. In a way, you can say it's like Leon's Dragon Pulse, who does this to wear down the overall team. And next, let's move on to its capability, for which Helios can be quite good. But the main thing I wanted to highlight is its abilities. The main thing that came to mind was either Solar Power or Sand Veil, and there weren't really good examples to portray these abilities, so just deal with the unrelated showings of Helios. Anyways, Solar Power and Sand Veil will act as a rare but rewarding phenomenon, similar to Ash's Weasel. While Helios can learn Sunny Day and Sandstorm to exploit this ability like Ash's Grudra and Hydration, similar to what I said earlier, I want this to be a situational thing. Closing things off, let's get to his personality, and because I'm dragging this section longer than I should, I'll make it quick. Similar to Alexa's Helioptile, it'll be timid and fearful, but in this alternate canon, it'll grow to become headstrong while evolving. But with all of these traits, Helios was a cool addition for this team. Fourth up on the list is Lucha. finally back to the recognizable ones. Getting straight to the action, Lucha's role was to wear down the enemy's team. Sounds astounding, right? Well, not really, because Lucha's capability is sorta average. Outside of solo wins, his record comes from avenging, getting revenged on, or outright jobbing altogether. There are very few times where he wins, and that's it. His moveset mainly has to do with fighting type moves, but obviously his most interesting move is flying press. I think the mixture of fighting and flying is a highly effective and viable signature to have. Lastly is his personality, and it's simple to understand. He starts off as both serious and prideful, but gets a little bit comedic as time goes on. This was probably meant for the inclusion of the lack of goofy characters. However, depth was not lost as he gained some sort of mentor role with Ash's Noivern. This relationship made both characters much more interesting, but with all of that, Lucha was a worthwhile pick. Number 5 is not someone surprising, but it is Talonflame. When thinking of Ash's birds, this one in particular was one of, if not the most beloved. To start off with one, its moveset was practically the most unique. Outside of the already cool Brave Bird, every other move was something no other bird has. Plus, they were all varied in typing, so the coverage was really impressive. And as for its capabilities, sadly, Talonflame has the same case as Lucha to where it wears down the enemy's team, causing its record to be mediocre. However, what makes Talonflame a bit more cooler in this regard is how often its reliability was utilized. Outside of one gym battle, Talonflame was used in each and every one. Definitely on the board to be considered Ash's Kalos MVP, even if his chances of success were 50-ish, 50-ish. Lastly is his personality, and it was mainly just another loyal and devoted member of Ash's team, without the flair. Although I will admit that there was plenty of color back when it was a fletchling. It's understandable why some of that color would deteriorate a bit since it's mainly derived off of cuteness. Plus, it does indeed have some sort of parental trait, so not all hope is lost. Nonetheless, all of these traits make Talonflame a deserving spot. Lastly, the final member, and I'm almost guaranteeing everyone's thinking of one particular Pokemon. This final member is none other than Greninja. There was no hesitation either, as this was the only valid starter to choose from. No amount of improvising would have justified changing starters. First off is their personality, being cool and collected. Adding this on though, Greninja is rather righteous and brave, saving Ash's Pikachu who was outright a stranger. Not to mention stepping up to be Kalos' hero in the shadows. Mind you, Greninja took the initiative regarding this role. Ash didn't have to tell him anything. It knew what it had to do. But moving on, let's talk about its traits in battle. It relies on high-speed offense, with cut and aerial ace being their main beatdown moves. There's also water shuriken sufficing as an all-purpose attack, doing whatever it needs to do in battle. There's also double team, which works to add a teensy bit of trickery and strategy. Then there's its capability in ignoring the character-driven jobbing. Greninja performs spectacularly. The kryptonite to his win rate is Alon's Charizard, sadly. But one final thing to go on about is its iconic ability, Battle Bond. As you may know, Gen 9 retconned this ability by removing Ash Greninja and only increasing the Pokemon's stats. Not to mention several instances during episode 108 of Journey support this as well. However, with all good things in mind, Greninja was the perfect Pokemon for this team. With this, the whole team is set together. Listing them down, we got the baby brother Noivern, the hardened GoGo, the headstrong Helios, the prideful Lucha, the parental Talonflame, and the righteous Greninja. Looking at them all, I can definitely feel the synergy within this team. And I should make note once again that I have zero clue on how good this team will be competitively. It will always be based off the anime's influence. Also, I should add that because Ash is the Alola champion and somewhat of the Galar champion, alongside the lack of sufficient examples with Paldea, this particular series will be put on hold. I don't want to focus solely on team building, but when I get back to it, expect trainers to get focused outside of Ash. But that's pretty much all I got for now. Yep.
Do it now! Get off your couch and do it! Do it now!